Some missing person cases are terrifying because of their violence, others because of their mystery. And then there are stories like this. A young man, brilliant, curious, obsessed with philosophy and the unknown. One day he's home with his family. The next, he's gone. But when his parents opened his locked bedroom, they found something that looked less like a simple disappearance and more like the opening chapter of a horror story. The walls of his room were covered in cryptic symbols and writings, strange codes, hidden meanings, and a life-sized statue of a 16th century philosopher. And Bruno Borges himself? He vanished into thin air. This is the disturbing mystery of the vanishing of Bruno Borges. Bruno Borges was born in 1992 in Rio Branco, a small city in the Brazilian state of Acre. From an early age, he was fascinated by philosophy, science, and the paranormal. He devoured books on Plato, Aristotle, and Descartes. He quoted great thinkers like Giordano Bruno, a Renaissance philosopher who was burned at the stake for his radical ideas about the universe. By his mid-20s, Bruno had developed an almost obsessive interest in the meaning of life, extraterrestrials, and hidden knowledge. Friends described him as brilliant but eccentric. He could talk for hours about the mysteries of the universe. Some admired him. Others thought he was drifting into dangerous obsession. In 2017, that obsession would take on a much darker form. In March 2017, Bruno was living with his parents. They had gone on a trip, leaving Bruno home alone. When they returned, they discovered something shocking. Bruno's bedroom door was locked. When they forced it open, they stepped into a scene that looked more like the set of a horror film than their son's room. Every wall was covered in handwritten texts and symbols, written in red ink. Some were passages from books. Others were strange coded alphabets only Bruno seemed to understand. There were 14 large books, stacked neatly on a desk, each filled with more writings, over 2,000 pages of encrypted text. Bruno had spent months, maybe years, preparing them. And in the center of the room stood a life-sized statue of Giordano Bruno, the philosopher burned alive in 1600 for suggesting the universe was infinite. The statue alone cost more than $2,500, raising questions about how Bruno had obtained it. To his family, it was terrifying, and then they realized that Bruno himself was gone. Bruno was last seen on March 27, 2017. CCTV footage captured him walking calmly down the street, wearing a t-shirt and carrying a backpack. He looked relaxed, almost purposeful. And then he vanished. No calls, no notes, no explanations. Just the bizarre room full of codes, philosophy, and secrets. The media exploded. Was this a kidnapping? A breakdown? A staged disappearance? Or something stranger? An attempt to leave this world behind? The disappearance of Bruno Borges has spawned countless theories. 1. A planned experiment. Some believe Bruno intentionally vanished as part of a philosophical or social experiment. His encrypted books, when decoded, contained passages about the search for truth and humanity's need to prepare for contact with higher beings. Was Bruno testing whether people would follow his ideas after he was gone? 2. Mental health crisis. Others argue this was a case of delusion. Bruno may have suffered a psychotic break, writing obsessively and disappearing in a fugue state, but his room was too meticulously planned. The statue, the encryption, the books. This was preparation, not chaos. 3. Occult, extraterrestrial connection. Some have pointed out Bruno's obsession with aliens and esoteric philosophy. His writings referenced beings of higher intelligence. His family said he spoke of missions beyond Earth. Could he have been attempting contact with something otherworldly? Or worse, did he believe he was chosen for something and willingly walked away to join it? For Bruno's parents, the discovery was devastating. Their son's room looked less like a bedroom and more like the lair of a cult leader. Journalists descended on the house. Photos of the room went viral. People called it the Room of Secrets. Bruno's mother said he had been working on the books in secret and once told her, "I'm working on something that will change humanity. Just trust me." But trust quickly turned to fear. The family was targeted by conspiracy theorists, strangers demanding access to Bruno's writings, and accusations that they knew more than they were saying. In August 2017, 5 months later, Bruno suddenly reappeared. He walked back into Rio Branco. He was thin, but alive. His explanation? Silence. He refused to say where he had been. He refused to explain the codes, and he refused to reveal what his writings truly meant. Bruno said only that he had been reflecting on life and wanted privacy, but the mystery only deepened. Why leave? Why create the cryptic room? Why vanish for months without a word? Some suggested he had staged the entire event as a publicity stunt for his writings. Others feared he had been manipulated by a hidden group or cult. Of the 14 encrypted books Bruno left behind, a few have been partially decoded. They reference the search for spiritual enlightenment, contact with higher beings, the role of human beings as guardians of hidden truth. One passage read, "The journey is not about finding new landscapes, but about finding new eyes." Another hinted at preparing humanity for great contact. But most remain undeciphered ones. Bruno refused to confirm their meaning. To this day, researchers and hobby cryptographers work to decode the writings, trying to glimpse what Bruno believed was the truth. The Vanishing of Bruno Borges is now one of Brazil's most famous modern mysteries. Some see him as a visionary, someone who tried to elevate human understanding. Others see him as unstable, consumed by his own obsessions. But what makes the story so chilling is not just his disappearance. It's the sense that Bruno was preparing for something bigger. His writings, his codes, his statue, all point to a man who believed he was chosen for a mission. And for a few months in 2017, he stepped out of this world and into legend. So what really happened to Bruno Borges? Did he stage his disappearance as part of a grand social experiment? Did he fall into madness, consumed by his obsession with philosophy and the paranormal? Or did he achieve exactly what he set out to do? Vanish from the mundane world, leaving behind a legacy of mystery that still captures us years later. Let us know what you think. One thing is certain. The codes Bruno left behind are still unsolved, and maybe that's the way he wanted it. Because sometimes the scariest mysteries aren't about what we lose, but about the questions we're left with. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more unexplained mysteries and true hauntings. Until next time, sleep well.